So I'll start my interview by asking that what is the gist of this book? What do you want to communicate through your writing of the recent book?
First of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity. As you know, in 2024, there are elections in 64 countries, including India and the USA, the largest and the oldest democracies. In addition, more than half of the world's population would be voting in 2024. Everywhere there is great deal of concern about the state of democracy, mainly because of rise of authoritarian regimes, populism, hate, fear, misinformation on social media. And world over, there is some sort of confusion and chaos going on. I had never thought that in 21st century, we will have the kind of wars we have in Europe, in Middle East, tension between China and US. Everywhere, there is a huge problem. And I thought this would be a good time to review and reflect on what democracy is all about. What does it mean to have democracy going forward? And the book is more about the idea of democracy, the state of democracy world over, state of democracy in US, in India. And then in part 2, I talk more about the relationship between democracy and capitalism, technology, values, leadership. And finally, I talk a little bit about how to redesign our democracy to respond to the new reality resulting from hyper-connected world. So it's a book for everybody, not just India. But since I've spent most of my life in these two countries, I remain very concerned about the state of democracy in India. And I also worry about what happened in US in the last 5-10 years. So that's why the book.
So any difference you grown up in the oldest and the largest democracy in the world, US and India? You feel like that rightist ideology is dominating the world these days?
I think there is something strange going on in the world. We really don't know what it is and why it is. But world over, people are not happy with the governments. Maybe it has to do with the fact that when the old order, organized by kings and queens, broke with revolution in France, revolution in Soviet Union or Russia, and then finally loss of British Raj, people felt that they will have the right to govern their destiny. But it turned out that new elite emerged. Rich businessmen started controlling politics. And the clique between politicians and rich really created a whole new set of new elites where people feel they are alienated. And maybe social media gave them an expression to sort of feel empowered to challenge everybody, create a little bit of chaos. And now people are saying, hey, you, the new elite, you are no different from kings and queens. You are cornering all the resources. You are not really allowing people the opportunities. And you have created an environment which rich is becoming richer and poor is remaining poor. And we don't like that environment. So in this vacuum, I believe perhaps authoritarian regimes have occupied the space. I don't think it will last for too long, personally, in the human history, because hyperconnectivity is designed to empower everybody. We need to redesign our democracies where it is more equitable, inclusive, participative, as opposed to what it is today. Today, a leader who gets 40% of the vote gets to decide for the 100% of the people, becomes too powerful, sets up his own club with rich, and then they think they can milk the system. And inequality continues to grow. They don't pay attention to environment. They are more focused on power and profit, as opposed to planet and people. So I think this is becoming a global challenge. And I hope out of this churning, we find a way out where we truly believe and build inclusive democracies, where everyone is respected, irrespective of their caste, religion, color, language, customs. I think that's a challenge today. People immediately get into conversation about your religion. People immediately get into conversation about your borders. We are living in a borderless world. What do borders mean today? Not much. You could be living in country A, working in country B, getting paid from country C, and buying product from country D. For the first time in the human history, we are all connected. All 8 billion people are connected. What does this connectivity mean to human civilization? Does it mean that we are going to separate people based on religion, language, caste, customs of the past, or we are going to build new order where humanity is respected, where religion becomes a personal matter, and we can all live together in peace and prosperity and not fight the way we are fighting today in Gaza, for example. Yesterday it was in Afghanistan, day before yesterday it was in Iraq, and now there are wars going on in 20 different parts of the world. I mean, when are we going to get civilized and focus more on non-violence? But I think social media has really amplified lies, and as a result, fear. And I worry about these things. Ultimately, everything boils down to the character of the leaders. Today, we don't have people like Gandhiji, Mandela, Martin Luther King, Abraham Lincoln, Mother Teresa's of the world as leader. All these leaders are petty, parochial, lie through their teeth, and people respect them. I don't understand how could a national leader go on lying and attacking people one by one, and people think he's a hero. That's where I have a problem with. And that's why I thought I should write a book. The leadership is all about sacrifice. Leadership is all about values, character. And that's what most of the old leaders were. New leaders are only concerned about profit and power. You look at all these G7 and meetings they have. What are they doing? They are trading. They are marketing people. It's a showmanship. Everything is a choreographed event. Everything is for the screen. What you say, how you say, when you say, is not real. It's not from your heart. I mean, look at in India, Prime Minister of a nation of 1.5 billion people has never had a press conference. And you call that democracy? You need to interact with press. You need to take questions. You got to have a conversation. You can't look down on people and talk to them as if they don't understand. People don't need advice from you as a prime minister. People need conversation with you. And then we say we have a democracy. How can you have a democracy when Prime Minister of a country doesn't even talk to the media and interact? So I have very different views on many of these issues. Maybe I'm in minority. That's okay. But my views do not change because I believe in fundamental value of democracy. To me, democracy is about freedom, justice, inclusion, equality, fraternity. To me, democracy is about diversity. Democracy is about development for everybody. And when that is challenged, I worry. We bring religion into play all the time. We make up stories about weaker people. I come from OBC. I could get in India my master's in physics for almost free, 6 years of college. This was 60 years ago. That is democracy. Today, if I have to get that master's, it is very complicated, very expensive, because privatization has taken over. So I think we need to really understand what kind of society we want to build. When I was growing up, in my house, we had 5 main pictures when you enter our house: Gandhiji, Nehru, Sardar Patel, Subhash Chandra Bose, and Maulana Azad. I grew up respecting those 5 leaders. To us, they were all same. No one ever thought that Maulana Azad was Muslim. No one ever thought that these people don't deserve respect. Where are the leaders like that? And growing up, we lived with Muslims, Jains, Sikhs, and tribal all together, played together, celebrated our festivals together, and no one ever thought that I must separate myself from them. That's the kind of India that I had dreamt of. And what has happened in the last 10 years bothers me. So when there is a debate and discussion, I find that there is no common ground to have a conversation. It is personal attacks. It is one-upmanship. It is desire to win an argument. It is all about making somebody else look little, insult people. It is not a respectable, dignified conversation anymore. And that's not good for democracy.
Okay, Mr. Sam, you're talking about the democracy, and the first phase of the Lok Sabha election is just around the corner. Both the major parties, BJP and Congress, pitched up their manifesto. It's more like Sankalp Patra, the Modi ki guarantee versus 5 Nyay of the Congress party. Your views on that? How convincing has been the Congress campaign in your views till now?
Okay, let's take one by one. First of all, when you talk about Modi's guarantee, just go in the past and see what guarantees were given earlier. And have you met those guarantees while you were in power? You had all the authority, you had all the money, you had no opposition of any kind. You made your laws without having rigorous conversation. What have you accomplished on employment? You said we'll generate 20 million jobs per year. In last 5 years, how many jobs we created? You said we'll bring black money back. What happened to that? Look what happened with demonetization. You made a lot of promises. What have you delivered? That's the first question. Not that you haven't delivered anything. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But what you promised versus what you delivered needs scrutiny by people because you are in power. Going to Congress Manifesto, I am personally very proud of the work Mr. Chidambaram and the party people have done in putting together a manifesto which is really in the real spirit of Congress party. It is a manifesto which focuses on, one, putting democracy back on track, providing our institutions independence that they need from ED, income tax, security system, in other words, police, intelligence, courts, election commission, universities. To me, that is the core of the democracy. Reviving civil society, making media more accessible, fair, free, and not biased. Today, I see some of the debates on major channels, and it's completely biased. The way the people ask questions, the way they frame the idea, it's pathetic. And that has become a norm. So Congress Manifesto first talks about putting things back on track, and then really focuses on the challenges related to employment, economy, and what needs to be done for the women, farmers, youth, on inclusion, to make sure that OBC, Dalits, minorities, tribals, and others get fair chance, fair representation. So I think it's a great manifesto. But people have different views. Some people told me that, oh, this is communist manifesto. When you take care of poor, it's not communism. It's like, I must worry about my neighbor. I was talking to a friend of mine a few days ago from New York, and he said, Sam, I live in an apartment where there are only millionaires, multimillionaires. But before I go into my apartment, on the road, I see 10 people begging, hungry, in New York. And people think that is normal now. When I came to America, that was not seen anywhere. So I think world has changed. We have really lost sensitivity to the plight of the other people. I feel it is my responsibility as a reasonably well-off person to make sure that people around me also get lifted, because it's in my interest. Now, that's not communism. That's humanism.
But despite of these all reservations, Mr. Sam, many survey agencies are predicting third time, actually this time more than that, the previous one, landslide victory to BJP. Their vote share is also going to be increased, and going by the data, where you feel like that the Congress party is lagging behind. Don't
I
they
don't
have
think it is. I think Congress party has done as much as we can under the circumstances, because our hands are tied. You freeze your account of the opposition party just before the election. You file all kinds of court cases. There is no level playing field. Fine, accept that. Okay. If people of India decide that this is the kind of future they want, more power to them. People of India will have to decide what this election is all about. Is this election about Modi versus who? Is this election about BJP versus who? Or is this election about the future of India? Democracy or authoritarian regime? Jobs or no jobs? Confusion, conflicts in the communities, hate, fear, or peace and prosperity for all? People of India will have to decide. If that's what they decide according to survey, there isn't much you and I can do. And this time, people will have to think very carefully as to what are they voting for. Are they voting for really a candidate, or they are voting for the future of a nation? It's up to them. They have to decide. And whatever is the decision, we will all respect that. whatever is the decision, we'll all respect that with great deal of concern for democracy. Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. Sam, you have seen that so many leaders, young leaders, have left the party recently. We saw Rohan Gupta, Gaurav Vallabh, and Naveen Jindal. In Mumbai, Sanjay Nirupam left the party. What the grand old party is, why the grand old party is not able to hold on to young leaders? Where is the crisis?
I look at that issue very differently. It is not about holding on to somebody. Okay. It is more about what do they see
Do
that
they
they
see
want to
future
leave.
in Congress?
No, the question is it about themselves or it about the idea of India? If it is about themselves, then there's nothing I can do. Wherever the opportunity is there, they'll go. Today it is, the idea of India that I believe in, which is Gandhian, and tomorrow I believe in the idea of Savarkar, and I go there. To me, those are opportunists, personally. But that's their privilege. I have nothing to say. I wish them well, and I believe that they really need to pay attention to their own moral fabric. They have to go inside and understand, how could I one day believe in Gandhian India and next day believe in Savarkar's India? Can I sleep in comfort with that? If you can, it's okay.
But most
More
of the
power to
people
you.
who just have left the party has one thing in common. They all are on the argument that the party leadership was quiet when Sanatan Dharma was being targeted. Why they are sitting with the people, DMK
No, but
leaders
they were
who
they
are,
were in important position. Who told them not to speak? They were in the party. Why didn't they speak?
they are not, they said they are not allowed to speak.
Not true. Not true. Nobody comes and stops you from speaking. There is no way. Maybe they'll, get a little mad at you. That's okay. But that's the kind of stand you need to take. If you're not allowed to take that stand, you are weak. Okay. I would blame myself. I didn't ask for anybody's permission to have an interview with you. And if I say something which is not acceptable, maybe somebody will call and say, Sam, this was not right. And I might apologize. I might not. I might say, I'm sorry. I may not. Nobody stops me from talking. That's not true. Okay. You are a leader. You have a responsibility. And then you have to work through the system. Okay. If system doesn't allow you to talk, so you work through it saying, look, I have something to say.
But do you
But it
think
is silly that one day you believe in Gandhi's India, next day you flip and believe in Savarkar's India and you blame everybody else.
but
It's
the
a funny
argument
thing.
that leaders are claiming that DMK leaders are making such comments, and you're sitting next to it,
Fine,
is
so
that
you go to
harming the
DMK,
image
but
of the
then
Congress party and portraying as Congress is the anti-Hindu party?
no, but then you go to public and say, look, this is not true, my friend. I'm a congressman. I can tell you this is not true. Okay. I need to talk to DMK and explain to them why it is not true. I need to go to media. I need to raise my voice. Look, in independence movement, there were multiple voices. That's what Congress is all about. Congress is not an authoritarian party. No matter what you say, people think Congress is an authoritarian party. People think Gandhi family decides everything. It is not true. Okay. You can say things you want to say. Somebody may not like it. It's okay. It happens every once in a while. It has happened to me also. But we are all human beings. We make mistakes. We have our own views. I can't be 100% aligned with everybody. But I agree to disagree. So all those people who left, I would tell them, how can your conscience allow you to flip overnight? Fine. I respect you for what you have done. I wish you all the best. I won't be able to sleep personally with that. Okay. But then who am I? You have to make your decision, I have to make my decision. But don't blame the rest of the world saying I was not allowed to speak. Speak. Show me an example where you spoke and somebody said no. Then fight it if somebody said no.
Okay.
Show your capabilities. Convince everybody. Because what you're telling me is I'm not capable of convincing everybody. And that's why I quit. I find personally a shade of opportunist attitude. I have nothing to gain here. I have a lot to gain there. I go there. Tomorrow, if somebody else comes to power, I look again for a position of power and I go there. Where do I make best for myself? Not where do I make best contribution for a nation. And for that, if I have to fight, I will fight. For that, if I have to suffer, I will suffer. That's what independence movement was all about. A lot of people would have said, then I will join British because I get a better position. Some people did that too. Okay. Not that everybody participated in independence movement. That's okay. I don't like it. But I can't decide for everybody. So those who left party, it's their privilege.
My next question, Mr. Sam, is that you're supposed to be very close to the Gandhi family. You feel that it is a good move to leave the Amethi seat. Does it send a right message to the masses?
It is for the party and the potential candidate to decide. If party collectively feel that Gandhi family must have a candidate for Amethi, the next phase would be for the family member to decide. It's a personal decision. Okay. If somebody asked me to contest election, I would have to personally make the decision saying, no, I'm not capable of. No, I don't want to. No, I'm not ready for it. No, I don't believe that's the right thing for me to do. Okay. So these are personal decisions which you have to weigh in light of what is good for the party, what is good for the nation, what is good for your family, and whatever is the decision, we got to respect that. Okay.
Okay. So there is huge demand from some quarters that Priyanka Gandhi should fight Rai Bareli. Your view was on that?
That is Priyanka Gandhi's decision and not your or mine or public's.
But leaders has to listen to the voices of people, right?
But ultimately, she has to decide that. I'm sure she will listen and then ultimately make her decision. Whatever it is, I respect that.
In my earlier interview too, you dodges question. If there is something Priyanka is better as a leadership quality than Rahul Gandhi, you dodges a question like this. Why so?
No, I don't think, we need to make those kinds of comparisons. We really need to understand that everyone has their own style. Leadership is a very complex subject. There are people who spend their lifetime studying leadership. It is not an organized science. It's more like an art and science. Leadership is all about the vision, ability to articulate that vision, break it up into small pieces of tasks, motivate people, empower people, lead people, and ultimately put it together. And it varies from people to people. Some are tyrant leaders, like Hitler was. Some are servants of the people, like Gandhiji was. Someone is analytical. Someone is, more like a father figure. Leaders are made out of events. And you can't compare one versus the other. They all have their own characteristics. Okay.
But do you feel that Priyanka Gandhi has that charisma? People align her that she
Priyanka Gandhi is a leader. Rahul is a leader. Okay. There are lots of leaders like that. Okay. I mean, we know Modi is a leader. Amit Shah is a leader. I mean, there are leaders of all kinds. Okay. Kharge is a leader. Okay. Gandhi was a leader. Nehru was a leader. Subhash Chandra Bose was a leader. Maulana Azad was a leader. Okay. They were all different. Mandela was a leader. Martin Luther King was a leader. Kennedy was a leader. You look at in US, we have right now Trump as a leader and Biden as a leader. Look at the differences. Okay. So world is full of these people. And there are political leaders, there are business leaders, there are religious leaders, there are social leaders like Mother Teresa. Okay. So you
Okay.
can't put leadership in one bucket.
Mr. Sam, apart from the Congress party, when we talk about the India alliance in large, do you think that the arrest of the former Chief Minister of Jharkhand and sitting Delhi Chief Minister, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, is going to impact the election this time?
It depends on how people look at it. If people look at this as vendetta, harassment, distraction, if people look at this as personal attack, it will affect. If people look at this as a normal process of law, it may not affect that much. Okay.
Okay. Mr. Sam, do you think the main challenge in front of the India alliance is that they don't have any face, any doula, as BJP says, there is no doula in the opposition party, or to face or to counter Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi?
This is a creation of the recent past in India, where election is about personality cult. Indian elections are parliamentary elections and not presidential elections. Parliamentary elections by design are meant to elect member of the parliament. And member of the parliaments together will elect their own leader. If it was a presidential system, then the whole nation should be allowed to vote for Modi versus who. So it is not a presidential election. And as a result, I suggest that we don't look for an alternative, but we look for an alternative idea, because this is the battle of ideas. What kind of a nation you want to build? What kind of ideas you have about democracy, freedom, institution building, about the role of civil society, about free press. That's what you are fighting for. You are not fighting for Modi versus who. People come and go. Nobody's there forever. They die in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years. Nations don't die. Ideas don't die. So I would say, get off this bandwagon of presidential system. Get off this question of Modi versus who. A country of 150 or 1.5 billion people will find a leader. So don't worry about that.
Many opposition leaders are having apprehension that if BJP is not stopped, India would become the democracy like Russia and North Korea. Do you also have
To
such
me,
apprehensions?
yes, I agree with that. To me, India is already a limping democracy. Yeah. India is not freely democratic. People, I knew of a lady, professor from London, who was invited to come speak in Bangalore. She's a little innocent professor who wrote some articles. She was sent back. She was not allowed to enter her own country where she was born. Okay. Her mother was sick. The reason given is we have an order from Delhi to stop you. If that's not non-democratic, then what else it could be? Nobody will give a reason why. Okay. She was invited by the local government to come and speak. She's an expert on a subject. She's a professor. How could she be harming anybody? But you are preventing her from expressing her views. If that's not anti-democratic, then what else is it? But media never talks about these things, because